I say it every week. We stop by stations named after artists, intellects, innovators. Every station is a signal or a memory pinned to a place. There is a process, part bureaucracy, part tradition, part cultural negotiation. A station name helps you find your way, but it also helps the city remember itself. Listeners have asked me about how metro stations get their names and who decides and what the criteria are. So in this short inter-season bonus episode, let's find out. This is Metro Stop Podcast, and I'm your host, Kelly Blair. It starts with the RATP. The RATP Group is a French-owned state enterprise that operates public transport systems in Paris. It originally operated under the name Régie Autonome de Transport Parisien, which means Parisian Autonomous Transport Administration. Its circular logo represents the Paris region with the Seine's meandering path, stylised as the face of a person looking up. In 2021, the new tagline became À demain, which means see you tomorrow, which in my opinion is both comforting and depressing in equal measure. You will know what I mean if you've heard the phrase Metro, Boulot, Dodo, which means Metro, work, sleep, the Parisian rat race. The Paris Metro's signature look was set at the very beginning, in 1900, by the Compagnie du Métropolitain de Paris, or the CMP, the private company that built and operated the first lines. Their engineers needed a material that would brighten the dim tunnels and reassure passengers who were descending underground for the first time. So they chose small 7.5 by 15 centimetre white ceramic tiles, beveled to catch and reflect the light. The blue enamel nameplates came from the same logic. High contrast, easy to read, durable and visually modern. Over the decades, colours and decorative styles shifted, but the CMP's original palette, white tile, blue sign, became the visual DNA of the network, surviving nationalisation, renovations and design fashions to become one of the most recognisable transport aesthetics in the world. This is not, nor ever has been, a podcast about the history of the Paris Metro itself, and in no way am I affiliated with the RATP. I must be careful that I don't fall into copyright infringements. The Paris Metro, its aesthetic, logo, tagline, mascot and jingle are all protected. I recently learned that the iconic Metro jingle, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, will be changed this year, and all transport and France Mobility will be aligned to give a consistent identity. So, names. The RATP can propose a metro name, but the City of Paris, the Council, and sometimes Île-de-France Mobility, which is the RATP's big sister, must all agree. There are a few different categories of names. Geographical being the obvious one, referring to the street, square, neighbourhood or landmark above the station. Parisian streets are their own history archive, named after revolutionaries, scientists, philosophers, writers, battles and vanished villages. Even the street signs are a uniform blue plaque, which gives central Paris its charm. The metro automatically inherits these histories. Sometimes the names are hyphenated, a marriage of convenience. One is a way to merge two locations. So like Marcadet Poissonnière was once two competing stations stitched together in 1931. Raymur Sebastopol marks the crossing of two major streets. Others make stranger pairings. Alma Marceau was a Crimean War battle and a French revolutionary general. Michel-Ange Molitor was Michelangelo and a Napoleonic general. Barbès Rochouart actually is one of my favourite French words to say. Rochouart. You should try it, it's really fun. Barbès Rochouart is a Republican activist paired with an 18th century abbess, or a nun. So all of these share a platform for no reason except geography. There is another type of pairing, like Champs-Élysées Clemenceau or Charles de Gaulle Étoile, a national figure grafted onto a landmark. Right away you can see that there's history there. Étoile is a metro stop that takes you to the Arc de Triomphe at the top of the Champs-Élysées. And after the liberation of Paris, de Gaulle marched down with victorious troops and since then it is the military parade route every Bastille Day. So pairing that landmark to that person, to me, makes absolute historical sense. Most metro names aren't really that symbolic. They're just accidents of urban history, two stories that happen to intersect underground. That brings me to naming for commemoration. And this, for me, is where it gets interesting and has been the motivation and ongoing theme of this podcast. The Metro honours many French icons of art, literature, and science. It also has 3 French presidents, 3 prime ministers, 1 monarch, and 10 members of the French resistance. You can hear their stories in season 1. It also honours foreign leaders with a French connection: George V, Franklin Roosevelt, Simon Bolivar, Giuseppe Garibaldi, and indirectly Joseph Stalin through Stalingrad. But that was named to commemorate the battle rather than the dictator. It is in the naming also where the Metro map reveals its biases. Only 7 stations are named purely after women, 7 out of more than 300. Until 2007, even Pierre and Marie Curie only honoured Pierre. Since then, singer Barbara, resistance fighter Lucie Aubrac, Louise Michel, an important figure in the Paris Commune, Simone Veil, an MP who fought for abortion rights, and most recently Josephine Baker, have all found their place to correct the gender imbalance. It's for this reason that when I'm researching the stations, when there is a woman who contributed to a man's legacy, or if their story is forgotten under his, I will include her. Like Cecile Tongi, Elsa Trioli, Juliette Drouet, I will try to elevate them where I can. So we know that names can and do change. About 50 names have changed since the beginning of the Paris Metro in 1900, mostly due to historical events. Changing a station name means changing maps, signage, and the mental geography of millions of passengers, so the bar is high. There is no official checklist, but the unwritten criteria are clear. Local relevance, cultural significance, navigational clarity, and political consensus. A station name must earn its place. So as Paris pushes outward into its future, carving new rings of track around the city with the Grand Paris Express arriving this year and the long mythologised Line 15 due to open in phases until 2030, the question of naming stations starts to matter again. 6 to 8 new stations are rising out of Seine-Saint-Denis, Val-de-Marne and Essonne, each one in a district that has never appeared on the Metro map. And unlike the early 20th century, when names were chosen behind closed doors, these new stations are being decided in public. Consultations, debates, even small political storms. The extension of Line 14 gave us some new stations in the south of Paris, 2 of which had to be renamed after protests from Val-de-Marne mayors who feared that their towns were being erased. In presenting their petition, they stated that the names of the stations were essential for their town's visibility, not just in the Paris region, but internationally, saying as Line 14 now connected to Orly International Airport and was opened just before the Paris 2024 Olympics. This shows the importance of literally putting your town on the map. In the end, every name is a political choice. The new map is still being written, but one thing is sure. The next generation of station names will be a blend of geography and commemoration, decided not just by planners, but by the communities of Grand Paris itself. With more than 300 stations to cover, I have my work cut out for me in bringing you the stories of the people, landmarks and events which helped shape France and Paris into what we know today. This has been Metro Stop Podcast. Thank you to everyone who supported Metro Stop. I have listeners from all over the world: Hong Kong, Singapore, Brazil, Vietnam, Norway, Pakistan and Iraq, to name a few. I feel like the littlest global podcast, and I am so grateful for every download and every listen. I want to shout out David and Peter at the Earth 2 podcast for their continued support. If you would like a podcast about DC Comics in the Bronze and Silver Age, the guys pour a lot of energy and love into it. They're so knowledgeable and it's so fun and a wholesome good time. You can follow me on Instagram at MetroStop Podcast. I will see you again in the summer of 2026 for Season 3 of Metro Stop Podcast. All my sources for this episode are listed in the show notes. Music by Keys of Moon.